Welcome back to the Outdoor Kitchen, guys. And as you can see behind me, we've got the Ugly Drum Smoker out, and that means one thing, well, not one thing, but for me, my favorite thing to do on it is a hot and fast brisket. So today, we're going to show you how to cook a brisket on an Ugly Drum Smoker. Ugly Drum Smokers gained their popularity in the competition circuit because of the ease of their use, how fast you can cook something in it, but also just the less management needed for them. So for an Ugly Drum Smoker, generally you have the can itself, you have your exhaust, and you have your intake. Your cooking grate is up the top. You have your thermometer just below the cooking grate. Then you have a fire basket, and if you're like me, you also have a deflector inside there, and that keeps the heat from blasting directly up on whichever side of the fire basket the fire is on at that moment. We take these out, and I like to get this started by filling the fire basket with lump charcoal first, and then a top layer of charcoal briquettes, or in my case I use competition char logs. I like to light it in one place underneath the basket, and as I lower that basket, I want that fire to be dead even between my intakes, and that's going to help that fire burn more evenly throughout the cook. Get everything put back on there, put the lid on, and leave this exhaust open 100% throughout the entire cook. We're going to control our heat with just our intake. As this thing climbs up closer to 325 degrees where I'm going to be cooking today, I'll start closing these off until it levels out. It's imperative that we keep an eye on this temperature and we keep our lid shut as much as possible, because if this thing opens up even for a few minutes extra, our fire is going to be out of control. Let's get this brisket out. We're going to be cooking it for a family meal tomorrow. We're going to get this brisket out, get it trimmed up, and show you how I like to prepare a brisket when I cook it on the Ugly Drum Smoker. We've got ourselves here a whole Packer style brisket that was on sale at HEB. It says $1.67 a pound here. I think we got it for a little bit less, but I can't remember. Anyways, it's fairly trimmed up as is, but I'll show you how I like to put something together for the Ugly Drum Smoker. This isn't a large brisket, so this should do just fine for one Sunday meal for the family. So we're just going to take some of this hard fat off. See, that's real hard. It's not any good. No bueno por caca. Just keep feeling it. Now again, I'm not trimming a ton on this brisket because this is just for family, and that doesn't mean that I don't want to give my family the best. It just means I want to yield the most I can out of it, just like I would a catering event or anything else like that. We did transfer our brisket over to a pan here because, again, when cooking on a Ugly Drum Smoker, I do cook a lot hotter than I normally would, and because this was such a cheap brisket, I want to make sure that we kept our moisture content and flavor up inside of it. So we're going to inject this. This is Cosmos Q beef injection, and really this is just a third of a cup of beef injection, a cup of beef consomme, and a cup of beef broth. I put it in a shaker cup so I can mix it up easier and get it nice and mixed until everything's dissolved in it, and then we're going to inject it. When you inject it, you want to make sure that you're pushing down on your plunger, as you're pulling out with your needle. So we're going to be doing it in a checkered pattern, and a lot of guys will tell you you got to do it with the grain, you got to do it against the grain. This isn't a competition. You're just at home. Just get fluid in the brisket. Just do it. So again, we're going to stick it in, make a pocket, plunge as we pull out. Stick it in, make a pocket, plunge as we pull out. And you'll see this thing, sometimes it'll squirt, Sometimes it'll come out the bottom, and that's why we put it on this pan. There we go. And I like to do this before I rub because it's used as a pretty great binder. So I'm going to keep poking this through the rest of this brisket, get it nice and plump and full, and we'll come back and show you how we're going to season it up. Whoop. So we've got everything injected, and you can see how that pan really caught quite a bit of those juices. So we're going to take it out of this pan to get it seasoned up, and we are going to season that bottom side, which is going to be the fat side. We're going to season that bottom side, which is the fat side, first. So let's get the cutting board back over here. And I kept that mohawk because, well, it's delicious point meat, and I don't want to throw it away, and I've got plenty of ground. So, all right, so we're going to layer these flavors. We're going to first hit it with a little bit of Uncle Steve's, the original, and then we're going to top it off with Uncle Steve's competition cow shake. Because of the pepper and everything that's in that competition cow shake, it's a really great heavy top layer. We're just going to hit a light layer on the bottom. As always in West Texas, I'm fighting the wind. All right, don't forget your sides. That's you got to eat that part too. Okay. All right, come back in here with competition cow shake, and you'll see why I like this. Look at those big, nice flakes. There's nice flakes of garlic in there, nice flakes of pepper in there. It just is an overall very nice look. And we're going to let this sit and sweat in for about 5 to 10 minutes. And we're going to check our smoker and see if it's getting up to temp. And as it's getting closer to temp, we're going to close off the exhaust a little bit at a time. Looks like it's already up to 200 degrees, so I'm going to close this one off halfway and let it keep going. In 10 minutes, we're going to flip this over after this is all sweated in and do the same thing on the other side. Just a reminder, folks, only about 23% of my viewers are actually subscribers to my channel. If you're enjoying this, if you're learning anything from it, go ahead and hit that thumbs up and hit subscribe now. I'd really appreciate it. It's free for you to do, and it helps us out. It's been about 20 minutes, folks, and I forgot to mention something to you. I add about 4 chunks this size into that charcoal basket. That's going to give us our wood flavor. This is hickory. I like to use post oak, hickory, and mesquite. Sometimes I mix it all together with pecan, one of each flavor. Today I'm just using hickory. Here in just a few moments, we're going to take this brisket and we're going to place it on that rack, fat side down, because we're right around the 300 degrees. Remember, we're going to be cooking this 300 to 325 degrees. You can cook it however you like it, but in an ugly drum smoker, this is the best product that I can come up with, is cooking right around 325 degrees. So let's get this over into our smoker, get to cooking. Now that it's on there, we're going to leave it alone for about 2 hours before we come out here and check on it. Now this is going to be cooking at 325 degrees, so at that 2 hour mark, we're going to be checking for any burnt ends, any sides that need to be spritzed to slow down any, and we're going to be checking for color to wrap. Because we are cooking so fast, we'll probably wrap between the 2.5 to 3.5 hour range, and we're just going to keep an eye on it. When we spritz, we'll be spritzing with a butter spray like I can't believe it's not butter, and we'll go from there. After that, we'll spin it every hour on the hour until it's completely finished. When we wrap, I'll show you how I like to wrap, adding beef consomme and beef broth to really get that flavor set in. Stay tuned, make sure you watch the whole video so you take all of the tips and tricks that we've got for you for your perfect backyard brisket. All right, folks, it's been 2 hours and we've been cooking right around 300 to 325 degrees and it's staying right at about 322, 324, somewhere in there. And this is gonna be our first time to take a look at the brisket, so I'm gonna grab my butter spritz that I usually use about this time, and then we'll take a look at it and see how it's doing. Oh yeah, getting some good color on it. All right, so it's looking good. It's got a nice little plump to it, and that happens when you cook hot and fast in this this particular style. This is our piece that we cut off the back side, and it's looking really good, so we're gonna flip that one over. That's gonna be just a little snack for us, but see how dry it's getting right there. It's gonna build a really nice bark, but this edge here is getting a little overdone for my liking, so we're gonna go ahead and hit it a little spritz. There we go. Just hitting the edges real fast. It's going to have a really nice bark to it when it's done. So what I also like to do is take this, I did put a probe in here because it's a little more accurate. I like to take this this grate, spin it around. And the reason we spin it around is because the exhaust is not centered on this particular smoker. The exhaust sits over here, and so that heat really, this is the hot side of the smoker, depending on where I put the lid at. So being that that's where my exhaust is, that's where the hot spot's going to be. So I do like to spin it every couple of hours. We'll check on this again here in the next 45 minutes or so. I don't want to leave that door open too long, because the longer you leave it open, your fire can get out of control. But we'll check on it in the next 45 minutes to an hour, and we'll start checking the internal temperature of it. Once it gets to right around 170 and that bark looks nice, we'll go ahead and wrap it up, and we'll show you our process from there. I'm assuming we're about halfway through. We're going to shoot for a 5-hour cook on this one. See you then. It's been another 45 minutes, guys, and I think it's time to go ahead and check this brisket and see how it's doing. I think at 2 hours and 45 minutes, it's probably going to be exactly how it needs to be to wrap it, but we're going to take a look at it anyways. If I like the bark, and I think the internal temperature is where I want it, which is somewhere above 165, below 180, I think we'll go ahead and get it wrapped up. When we wrap it, we'll use some foil, heavy-duty foil, and some beef broth. About a cup, maybe 3/4 of a cup of beef broth. Make sure it's not cold. Do not add freezing cold liquids to your brisket. And I'll show you how we do that. We'll get it wrapped up, throw it back on the smoker, insert the probe into the brisket, and watch it until it hits an internal temperature of 210 degrees. It's important we take it up over what we normally would during a low and slow, or even a medium hot and medium speed, about 275 or so, because that meat is going to tense up, and we need to take it up a little bit higher to get those proteins and those connective tissues broken down the way they would in a longer, slower cook. And in doing so, we're going to have to make sure that we have a long rest to match. So we're going to take this and we're going to get wrapped up. We're going to add our beef broth. We're going to cook it to about 210 degrees, and I'll see you then. And just like that, 5 hours on the dot, our internal temperature hit 210 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and check it with my Inkbird instant read and make sure that everything's good to go. If it is, we're going to take it out of the smoker, throw it onto our pan, and let it rest for about an hour. I'm going to slice into it. I'm just going to take one slice out because I'm going to vacuum seal it tonight so that we can have it tomorrow for family dinner. Let's take a look at it. Ooh, so soft. Hot. Probe tender. $207. $8. Oh, that was a soft spot. $208. Let's see. Very good. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. So. We got it sitting on our pan, and I opened this foil up just a little bit because we want that steam to escape, and I'm going to close it back down just for a little bit, but leaving a spot for that heat to escape some, and we're going to let it rest just like this on the countertop for an hour. I'll see you then to slice into it and show you what a hot and fast brisket looks like, what the brisket that you're going to cook on your ugly drum smoker will look like, how simple it was. During this entire cook, I didn't babysit this fire. I didn't add any charcoal. I didn't add any wood. Simply did a good trim, hit it with some Uncle Steve shake, injected it, threw it on the smoker, spritzed it a couple of times with some butter, wrapped it up with some beef broth, and let it finish up. And while that was doing that, in that 5 hours, I rebuilt the carburetor on my generator. I did a valve adjustment on it. I mean, I got a lot done. You don't have to babysit these things, and that's the greatest part of having an ugly drum smoker. Not to mention being in competitions, you can do a competition brisket in 6 hours from start to finish, and that includes rest time. And rest time is very, very important. If you're going to do a prolonged rest, like a prolonged holding 10-12 hours, there's no point in doing hot and fast unless you like the difference in flavor profile that it gives you. And it does give you a different flavor profile than an offset low and slow or medium and medium. Anyways, I'll see you back here in an hour. We'll take a look at this brisket. All right, it's been right at an hour, and I can't wait anymore. I'm going to be letting this sit overnight in the fridge anyways, so I need to get a slice out of it and see how it looks. Oh, wow. Let's get it moved over here. All that consomme, all that broth, it added a lot of moisture to this cook, which is good because this was very cheap, very low grade brisket. So we want to make sure that it's nice and moist. And we're going to save all that moisture on the side there. We're not going to waste any of that. So I'm going to put that to the side on the pan. We're going to cut it right down the middle. We're just going to take one slice out of this. Look at all that moisture. Good bark. Look at that jiggle. Jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. $1.47 brisket. Cooked in, mind you, 6 hours from start to finish. From starting the fire to cooking and resting, well, I guess 6.5 hours. But come on. Come on. Look at that. Aye. That's good. That's real good. All right, let's see. Let's take a slice, a slizzle of this dizzle. It's still pretty hot, but it flops. It's got great tenderness. Holds up to its own weight and pulls with ease. See how she tastes. You get kicked right in the mouth with a beef flavor immediately. Lots of savoriness to it. Delicious. I can't wait to have this with the family tomorrow. Wow. Yum. How to cook a brisket on the Ugly Drum Smoker. You can do it. You can make an amazing brisket at home with the equipment that you have. You can do it. I built that for less than 150 bucks. There's no reason why you can't do it. You're capable of it. Use this video. Make sure you hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. We love you guys. Drink more water. Just pillowy fat that kind of, I pinch it and it just, oh yeah, nice and rendered. It's gonna be a hit tomorrow.